Howdy. Have you ever wondered, what is the difference between growth and scaling your business? And how do you know when you're supposed to do what? I mean, should you be growing your business right now or should you be scaling your business right now? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, guys. We're going to give you 5 clear signs that it's time for you to scale your business right now. So, howdy, everyone. My name is Leslie Hassler. I own Your Biz Rules. And every week we come to you on Facebook with the Be More Successful show just to give you those tips and strategies to help you be more successful in your business. And what I do is work with smart women owned service based businesses to get growth and scalability done in such a way that it's easy, that it's profitable, and that you can do the good work that you want to do in the world. So, that's a lot, but we have a lot of ground to cover today. So, I first want to talk about the difference between growth and scalability. Now, there are a lot of definitions floating around, and when I hear small business owners talk about it, they tend to use it interchangeably. But there's a significant difference between the two. So I want us to define that. Growth typically is the first stage of building your business. It would be very foundational in a lot of ways. So it's usually about getting your first clients, getting that ability to know what to say and how to say it to get people to convert. It's that ability to take a payment, all that stuff that you work on first in your business. Now, another characteristic of growth is that it tends to suck cash. It tends to devour cash. And here's why. Because you're working on foundations, you're typically having to pay for that growth, and you pay for every growth before you see the success. But you really do pay ahead on this growth, and it takes a period of time for it to return on the investment. But when it returns on the investment, it's typically a one for one or a break even. Now, hey, that is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's one of the key distinctions or differentiators between growth and scalability. Now, scalability tends to be about exponential. It also tends to be about getting a higher return on your investment. So if you're investing in the initiative or the strategy, you typically are going to see a more than one time. So a little rule of thumb, if you can get a 4 times return, that's pretty good. Any multiplier is good, but 4, 10, 100, that's really where you start to unlock scalability. Now, scalability assumes you've got some foundations in place. And that's why this kind of growth tends to be highly profitable because we're maximizing the resources that we have. We're getting every last bit of juicy goodness, if you will, out of what we've spent so much time building. So that's a little bit about the difference between growth and scalability. So typically, if you're younger in your business, if you are still on the feast and famine kind of roller coaster, although that does kind of impact some things, you're probably in growth and not quite ready for scalability. But let's talk about how do you know if you are ready for scalability. Now, I will tell you that it is typically either really clear or it is as muddy and unclear as it could be. And so one of the situations that I see business owners getting into, it would be that kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in their business. Like they know they need to grow, but they don't have much time. It's this yin and yang of competitive things that make you feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't even beginning to be possible. Like, not in my wildest dreams could this happen. It is actually the opposite. Typically, that means that the way that you've grown your business has to change in order for you to get to scalability. And so that kind of rock in the hard spot is actually a really good indicator. It says you're ready for something new, and scalability often can be the thing that your business needs. So it's a little counterintuitive, but let's talk a little bit about the signs. So the first sign is with your clients. Now, you are able to get clients. That's not a problem. You typically can get clients to come, and they typically come back, which means that with your clients, you're delivering consistently. Like you can deliver a predictable result. It's a little bit like this is old habit. We know what we're doing, right? You're not having to figure things out. That's a growth, right? This is scalability. So you can produce reliable results, but you're counterintuitive. You're between the rock and the hard place moment here is that in your mind, the only way to be able to continue your journey is to serve more clients. And you can't even fathom how that would happen because typically there's no time. Like you're maxed. A lot of things that we can do in this area to kind of get the business primed for scalability. There are a little bit of work to do as part of your scalability journey, but it is oftentimes everyone feels busy. And here's kind of another one that's really interesting, another key indicator with the clients. Your whole team's busy. Yet, you'll have a month or two out of your year that outperforms all the rest with the same people. It's an indicator that you've got a capacity gap. And a capacity gap, even though we feel busy and even though we don't feel like we can do more, says that there's an opportunity. We've just got to make things easier. We've got to make things more efficient, more productive. Okay, that's the work we have to do in that area. The second sign of you are ready to scale in your business is going to be around your cash, the money, the cash flow coming through the business. Now, sometimes you could feel like, well, I mean, I can pay my bills, and I can pay myself, but there's just not a whole lot left over. So a lot of times when you're really needing to get into scalability is you've had all this good growth up to this certain time and your revenue starts to hover or flatline or plateau, but your profitability starts to decrease. That's a really interesting, like these two are decoupling, if you will, right? And it's starting to tell us that there's a relationship that we can play with in your cash flow. So your expenses, like if I were to look at your expenses, they're also going to be a lot more about maintaining versus foundational new investments. It's kind of an interesting thing that we do. So they're very predictable expenses. Maybe you have to buy a new computer, but you're not like having to buy everyone a new computer. It's just about status quo and maintaining the status quo. That's another interesting indicator when it comes to your cash flow. Then let's talk about our third sign that you're likely ready to scale your business right now. And that is with your team. Now, if you follow me, you know that team can mean a lot of different things. It can be somebody that you hire and subcontract to. It can be a W-2. It can be a 1099. It can be a whole host of things. But these are the people that help you get things done. And if you're ready for scalability, you have the beginnings of this. You likely do not have the end all be all. It likely feels clunky. Like you're just like, it's just not nailed down, right? It's not a well-oiled machine, but you can definitely see that the potential is there. So it's not necessarily that we're having to convince you to make your first hire. That's growth. Okay. So there's some of this already working. You're likely looking at things like, maybe I need more systems. Maybe I need a better technology that makes this easy. Maybe we need a process. You've started to work on delegation because the thing about scalability is it's going to require you to delegate more. So that team and systems and process that really needs to have to be started. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to get started. Your fourth sign that you're ready to scale your business today is that you have had a couple of years of good growth, like 20, 30, 40, 50% of growth over the last few years. Now, you likely don't feel like you have much to show for it because remember, it's growth, not scalability. But you've seen some level of success. And that's what's really important because one of the things that's so crucial, like I can teach you so many things, I can guide you, I can mentor you, I can advise you, but this is the thing that you have to bring to the table is your belief. The belief that you can, because that is the king of deciding factors about whether this will work or not. So you have to believe that you can, you have to know that you have in the past, but understand that it's got to be done in a different way. That openness, if you will, around it. And the fifth part of it is, and this is really key, guys, the fifth sign that you're ready for scalability is vision. And a vision is more than just your next milestone. So that milestone surely is important and it probably is your next maybe 1 year goal or 90-day plan or something like that, but it's likely achievable. I'm talking about something so powerful, so big enough to inspire, but not big enough to strike fear into your heart. Something that you dream about, something that you fantasize about, something that's bigger and is about you creating legacy and impact in your community. That drive is so important. It starts to form your why. And knowing what those things are, even if they change tomorrow, that's okay. Knowing what they are today is super duper important. Now, it's definitely something you can work on, but those are 5 clear signs that I see happening in businesses every day that tell me, as their mentor and as their guide, that they're ready to scale. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and comment below, share it with your friends, and so they can figure out if they're ready to scale too. That's it for today, guys. For more great tips and resources, as always, please head to yourbizrules.com. I've been Leslie Hassler, or I am Leslie Hassler, and this has been our Be More Successful show. Thanks, guys.